At family dinner, my niece sneered, "We don't sit with your kind." They all laughed. What they didn't know? I own every property they live in. What happened next was beautiful. I'm Sean, 34. Over 10 years, I built 18 rental properties, worth $3.2 million with $1.1 million equity. Monthly income, $24,000. After mortgages and expenses, I clear $8,500 monthly. Nobody in my family knows. My wife, Nina, is from the Philippines. We met 6 years ago. She's an ICU nurse, works night shifts handling critical cases. For 3 years, my family treated her like she doesn't belong. Questions about where she's really from, though they know Manila. My dad called me brave for marrying someone from a different culture. The secret? I own their houses. My parents' home? Bought it 5 years ago when they faced foreclosure after dad's surgery bills. Paid $140,000 cash. Deed in my name. They think they own it. My brother Calvin's house? I bought it in 2019. 4-bedroom, good school district. Charge him $1,400 monthly when the market rate is $2,200. He doesn't know I'm his landlord. Uncle Howard's duplex? Mine too. Charge $900 worth $1,500. Been subsidizing everyone for years. Last month, Mom called about Calvin's birthday dinner. Nina insisted we go. We arrived with a cake she spent 3 hours decorating. Perfect roses. The house looked great. New sectional, fresh paint, professional landscaping. All funded by cheap rent on my property. Nina offered to help. Sister-in-law Patricia waved her off. Wait in the living room. We sat while niece Brittany whispered with friends. Not from here. Probably wanted a green card. Nina heard it. I saw the tension in her shoulders. Patricia announced dinner. Beautiful table. Good china with gold trim. Fresh flowers. Name cards. 15 people at the main table. Mom, Dad, Calvin, Patricia, the kids, relatives, even Brittany's friends. Nina and I had name cards at a folding table in the hallway, next to the bathroom. 2 empty chairs at the main table. What's this? I asked. We ran out of room, Patricia said. Then Brittany spoke. We don't sit with your kind anyway. Looking directly at Nina. The room went silent. Patricia smiled. The main table is for the core family. I pulled out my phone. Called my property manager. Start eviction proceedings on 3 properties. Tonight, dead silence. I called my attorney. Transfer 447 Maple Street back to the bank. Mom gasped. Called my accountant. 3 properties to market rate immediately. I looked at Calvin. Your rent goes to $2,200 next month instead of $1,400. Patricia went white. Uncle Howard, $1,500 monthly. Can't afford it? 60 days to move. Mom, Dad, the house you think you own? You don't. I own it. Transferring it back to the bank. Good luck getting a mortgage on retirement income. Mom cried. You can't do this. I own the properties. Over a seating arrangement? Calvin said. Over years of treating my wife like garbage. Today was the last straw. I looked at Brittany. You just cost your parents $800 monthly. Your grandparents their house. Your uncle his affordable rent. We walked out. Next morning I followed through. Official notices sent. Calvin called screaming about destroying his family. I stayed calm. Market rate is actually $2,400. I'm being generous at $2,200. Take it or leave it. He took it. Mom called crying. You watched your granddaughter insult my wife and said nothing. 0 words. 3 days later, Patricia showed up at my office. Makeup smeared. We can't afford an extra $800 monthly. I pointed out they'd spent thousands redecorating a house they didn't own. 2 weeks later, my parents sued for elder abuse. Case dismissed when I showed the deed and bank records. Calvin paid the new rent. They canceled Brittany's Sweet 16 party. Sold their boat. Patricia got a part-time job. Parents got a mortgage at market rates. Payment doubled. Dad, unretired, took a hardware store job. The family stopped inviting us. Exactly what I wanted. 3 months later, Brittany texted a long apology. Started volunteering with immigrant families. Realized how ignorant she'd been. I appreciated it, but didn't respond. 6 months later, Calvin called. Actually humble. I get it now. We treated Nina like garbage. Is the rent ever going back down? No, we're not close anymore. We spend holidays with Nina's family in Manila. They treat me like their own son. That's real family. Last week, Dad called. Asked if we'd come to dinner next month. Really wanted us there. I asked if Nina would be seated at the main table. Long pause. Of course, he said finally. I'll think about it. I probably won't go, but it felt good to be asked properly.